Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel today. Uh, with the weeks past rough weather that we've had here in Kentucky, and I'm sure other parts of the country have had as well, I used the time to kind of go through and kind of reorganize some of the tackle that I use during the fishing season. And I wanted to talk about some of the different lures that I throw during the year and what times of the year I typically gravitate towards a specific lure versus other times, and then again, what lures I typically will rely on year round. So, starting with the first box I have here, I have a pretty good selection of rooster tails, which is probably my what I would call my go-to lure, and I keep them in different sizes. Right now in this box, I think I have some 1/8 ones and some 1/6 ounce lures. I also have some other boxes that contain like some 1/16 and some 1/4 ounces, and they're all. For me, those are a good year-round lure. I can use them pretty much. They work well for me in lakes. They work well for me in creeks and rivers. I haven't really found any areas that I haven't been able to catch fish with them. So for me, they're a good go-to year-round. Moving on from there, I have a couple different varieties of topwater. We have the Zara Spook puppies. We have a couple of Rapella popars, and then I also have a couple mini crankbaits down here. And while these two are more of a topwater lure, I prefer to throw these in the spring. They will work in the fall as well, but what I find throwing them in the fall is that when the leaves start falling in mass on the water, it seems like you're spending more time picking leaves out of your treble hooks than you are fishing with it. So in the spring, I find they're a lot more enjoyable to fish, and they definitely, when the pre-spawn gets on and the early spawn, they work really well. So they're, for me, they're more. I tend to gravitate towards these more in the springtime. Now the mini crankbaits, because these run subsurface, I will tend to run these in the spring and in the fall. That's when I find when the fish are feeding up pre-spawn, and in the fall when they're doing the pre-winter feed up. Those work fantastic, and they work great for running along rock lines and things like that. They work good in lakes. They work good in creeks as well. And then moving on from there, these are some subsurface lures that I also use. They're kind of like a mini crankbait or a medium-sized crankbait, or maybe even you might even call them like a mid-sized jerkbait. Even they'll work either way. And these are called the Flicker Shad by Berkeley. I think they're the five size. They come in different sizes, and I really enjoy using these. And I've used these and caught fish on them as well year round. And they work good in the spring, the summer, the fall. Come wintertime when the bite gets a little tougher, they're a little harder to fish. But the other three parts of the year, they really work really well. And then moving on from there, I have a couple of these like Chapo style or Whopper Plopper style. These are the 60 style. And again, because these are a topwater lure, I prefer to use these in the springtime when there's not a lot of leaves on the top of the water. They work pretty good then. And they will catch into early summer as well. The fall, I just don't prefer to use them as much because when the leaves are on the water, I spend more time again picking the leaves out of the trebles. And then moving on from there, a variety of crankbaits, and these again are a good year-round lure. Spring, summer, and fall, you can definitely catch fish on them. And a lot of times, it's just a matter of matching the color to what's swimming around the area. Whether you're having things like shad in your area or craws. In other words, this one is a good mimic for a craw. Things like that, and depending on the color of your bait fish in the area, it's good to have a variety of those as well. But they're a great lure too. And then from there, jig heads in various shapes and sizes. Those are a great year-round lure too. Just a matter of picking out a soft body that you like to add on them and then use them. And there's such a variety, whether you're running Ned rigs or things like flukes or paddle tails or Damiki tails or crappie magnets, things like that. There's just so much a variety of things you can run on those. And they're a great year-round lure as well. Now, fishing them is going to vary depending on the time of the year. Usually, when the water starts to turn cold in the fall, I find that they work better for me if I suspend them underneath the bobber, maybe 12 to 18 inches, and then just let it sit there for a while, especially when the bite's really slow. And what you'll find is sometimes they may sit there a long time, but eventually you will see something hit them. And that'll just kind of give you an idea how fast the fish are feeding on in a given spot on a given day. And then moving on from there, a few different style baits. This is a box of some chatter baits. Down below, I have a couple of spinner baits, some more spinner baits here, and then a couple of buzz baits. Now, spinner baits, I like to use these a lot in the fall and in the spring. I find I get the most productivity out of them in that time of the year. Lakes and in creeks especially, they work really good. The buzz baits, I find these are a little more situational for me. Springtime pre-spawn and early fall feed up, they work really great as long as you're running them in bodies of water along timber and structure, things like that. They work really well. Um, the buzz bait itself, is a kind of a subsurface, or it's just it can run right as a top water lure. It can run slightly subsurface. These are interesting lures. I've only started really messing around with these this year, and I had limited success with them. I've had a few fish hit on them, but I haven't really hooked into much on them as yet. But I'm still going to mess with them a while, and they come in different sizes as well. I'm thinking about modifying these a little bit. I've already trimmed down the buzz bait blade on a few because I kind of think part of the issue with these is that they tend to get, if they're too long, they get too close to the hook. And even though you can bend the arms out, um, I still haven't quite figured out the right recipe yet to making those work. But anyway, that's kind of going through some of the different lures and when and why I use them. If you have any comments or questions or anything you'd like to add about your favorite lures and what time of the year you like to use them, please leave a comment with the channel. And I always appreciate that, and I'll be glad to reply to it. And thanks again, as always, for watching. And even though the weather's still kind of chilly here in Kentucky, it should be getting better here, hopefully in the next week or so. So get out on the water when you can. It's a great place to be. Thanks, and see you next time.